Okay, so today I've decided to read Stephen King on Writing, a memoir of the craft, part biography, part collection of tips for the aspiring writer, The Guardian said. On Writing, a memoir of the craft. There is a reason why Stephen King is one of the best-selling writers in the world, ever described by Mark Lawson in The Guardian as the most remarkable storyteller in the modern American literature. Stephen King writes books that draw you in and are almost impossible to put down. King is the author of more than 50 books, all of them worldwide bestsellers, including Misery, The Shining, The Stand, and 11/22/63. He also wrote the entertainment non-fiction title that I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to read that out. A fascinating analysis of horror, terror, and the supernatural in films, televisions, and books. Many of his novels and short stories have been turned into celebrated films, including Dolores, Misery, and The Shawshank Redemption. King was the recipient of the 2003 National Book Foundation Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters. He lives with his wife, novelist Tabitha King, in Maine, USA. On Writing by Stephen King. Honest is the best part. Liars prosper. First foreword. In the early 90s, it might have been 1992, but it's hard to remember when you're having a good time, I joined a rock and roll band composed mostly of writers. The Rock Bottom Remainers. The Rock Bottom Remainers were the brainchild of Kathy Carmen Goldmark, a book publicist and a musician from San Francisco. The group included Dave Barry on lead guitar, Ridley Pearson on bass, Barbara Kingsolver on keyboards, Robert Fulghum on mandolin, and me on rhythm guitar. There's also a trio of chick singers, Dixie Cups, made usually of Kathy, Tad Burtmas, and Amy Tan. The group was intended as a one-shot deal. We would play 2 shows at All American Booksellers Convention to get a few laughs, recapture our misspent youth for 3 or 4 hours, and then go our separate ways. It didn't happen that way, because the group never quite broke up. We found that we liked playing together too much to quit, and with a couple of ringer musicians and sax and drums, plus in the early days of our music guru Al Cooper at the heart of the group, we sounded pretty good. You'd pay to hear us. Not a lot, not U2 or E Street Band prices, but maybe the old timers called Roadhouse money. We took the group on tour, wrote a book about it. My wife took the photos and danced whenever the spirit took her, which was quite often, and continued to play now and then, sometimes as the Remainders, sometimes as Raymond's Bird's Legs. The personnel comes and goes. Columnist Mitch Albom has replaced Barbara in keyboards, and Al doesn't play with the group anyone. Kathy didn't get along, and the core remained Kathy, Amy, Ridley, Dave, Mitch Albom, and me, plus Josh Kelly on drums and Asmo Prolo on sax. We did it for the music, but we also do it for the companionship. We like each other, and we like having a chance to talk sometimes about the real job, the day job people are always telling us not to quit. We are writers, and we never ask one another where we get our ideas. We don't know. One night while we were eating Chinese before a gig in Miami Beach, I asked Amy if there was any one question she had never asked during the Q&A that follows almost every writer's talk, and that a question you never get to answer when you're standing in front of a group for another author-struck fans, pretending you don't put your pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. Amy paused, thinking it over very carefully, and then said, "No one ever asks about the language." I owe an immense debt of gratitude to her for saying that. I have been playing with that idea of writing a little book about writing for a year or more in that time, but held back because I didn't trust my own motivations. Why did I want to write about writing? What made me think I had anything worth saying? The answer is that someone who's sold as many books of fiction as I must have something worthwhile to say about writing. But the easy answer isn't always the truth. Colonel Sanders sold a hell of a lot of fried chicken, but I'm not sure anyone wants to know how he made it. If I was going to be presumptuous enough to tell how to write, I felt there was a better reason than my popular success. Put another way, I don't want to write a book, even a short one like this, and that would leave me feeling either a literary gas bag or a transensual arsehole. There are enough of those books and those writers on the market already, thanks. But Amy was right. Nobody ever asks us about the language. They ask about the De Lillos and the Updikes and the Citrons. They don't ask about popular novelists. Yet many of the proles also care about the language in our humble way and care passionately about the art and the craft of telling stories on paper. What follows is an attempt to put down, briefly and simply, how I came to the craft, what I know about it, how it's done, and about the day job. It's about the language. This book is dedicated to Amy Tan, who told me in a very simple and direct way that it was okay to write it.